What is up? We're back. I just want to explain something really quick before we get on into this tier list. I know I missed last week. I was very busy. Forgive me. I'll do anything, please. But no, for real. On the screen right now, this is my tier list post last week. I'm not going to dive into it too much. You can see the changes. We made the changes already from the prior week. But yeah, this is what we came up with last week. You got Cardinals as the top team. You had other undefeated teams such as the Raiders, Broncos, and Panthers all lose their first game. And like I said, this is the tier list from last week. And then, of course, this week, all the games are concluded. And yeah, there's going to be major changes again. I mean, I feel like it's always so many changes every week. It's so crazy, but we're about to get into it. This is the tier list from last week. As you can see, I got the Jags at last. The Jets got a win. The Jets won a game against the Tennessee Titans somehow. So the Titans move down. Jets move up a little bit. You had the winless New York Giants win in overtime. You had the Bears win a game. You had the Eagles lose again. Just as you can see, the Chiefs 2-2. Cowboys moving on up. They're right ahead of the Chargers, who look great as well. Of course, they beat the Chargers. The Bengals are the biggest shocker probably of this. They have moved all the way from maybe next year to almost there, now to playoff hopefuls. And I mean, it's impressive. They look pretty good. 3-1. Shout out to the Bengals. But yeah, we're about to get right on into week 5 power rankings / tier list. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. It's much appreciated. Hope everyone enjoys the video. And yeah, let's get right on. All right, guys, and let's get right on into the new tier list. And I'll start off at the very bottom. I'm not going to do it in order today. I'll kind of give you, I'm going to put them in order on the tier list, but I'm not going to go in order from maybe next year to Super Bowl hopefuls like I usually do. I'm going to start switching it up a little bit, keep you on your toes. But I'm not going to keep you on your toes on this one. Reclaiming their rightful throne as the worst team in the NFL. It's the Jacksonville Jags, baby. They did lose DJ Chark, but Laviska Shenault, he's going to have to be a factor, man. He had 99 yards receiving the week before. This week, he only had, one catch for like 58 yards. I mean, they got to get him going. Marvin Jones got to get going. James Robinson, feed him the ball. We should not be giving Carlos Hyde the goal line touch on 4th and 1, in my opinion. I do want to stay in bottom tier for a second. And I want to speak on the Detroit Lions. Now, they're going in maybe next year. They haven't won a football game yet. But they've had some close, gritty performances against good teams. The Baltimore Ravens won off of an NFL record-long kick by Justin Tucker. The Lions finally looked like they had a solid chance to win this week against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings stomp downfield in 40 seconds, get into field goal range, and they make the kick. They make the kick. The Lions lose. Lions are staying right here. Sorry, Lions. Now let's mix it up a little bit. We're gonna go with the New England Patriots and almost there. Barely beat the Texans. I'll say that. That's a fact. Very close game with the Texans. Next up, we'll go with a team that actually lost to the Jets last week, the Tennessee Titans. We'll throw them in this middle tier. You know, the Titans haven't been blowing me away this year. Their offense looks, great. It's ran through Derrick Henry. The defense looks just absolutely awful this year, though. They won this week against the Jags, of course. That's a good bounce back from the Jets, I suppose. But we're going to go ahead and throw the New York Giants in this bottom tier. Probably the best team so far in bottom tier, I'll be honest. I don't think that's very debatable. They did lose Saquon Barkley to a low ankle sprain. They lost Daniel Jones to concussion. Kadarius Toney looked great. He had like 190 receiving yards, though, on 10 receptions. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they can get healthy. They have promise. Not much, but, I mean, they do have a little bit of promise to win some games this year. New York Giants in bottom tier. Speaking of New York, The Jets, baby. We'll put the Jets above the Lions, I think, because they have a win. And I do think that Detroit would beat the Jets. But knowing Detroit, they would probably lose in the last second of the game somehow. So we'll throw the Jets ahead of them. I don't have much to say. It's just the Jets. It's just New York. It's just New York, man. Next on this list, let's go with the Washington football team. They lost another game this week to the New Orleans Saints. They made the Saints offense look incredible. They allowed a Hail Mary to go into halftime. Football team's defense, like, what is going on? You're supposed to have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and just for some reason it's not coming together. They lost Fitzmagic in the first week of the season. Things just haven't been trending upward for the football team, and they're in the almost there tier this week for sure. I think we're throwing Miami in the bottom tier until they win a game. They're in timeout. They got blown out against the Bills, which is fine. The Bills look incredible. But then this week, they showed a little bit of life early on in the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Myles Gaskin had himself a day fantasy-wise. Over 30 points fantasy. It was just the Dolphins, they're not what we thought they would be. I mean, their defense isn't anything great. Their offense is just not there. Tua's out. Maybe when Tua gets back, they can get things clicking. I don't see it happening, man. I don't see it happening. You know what? I think we're going to go ahead and throw the Los Angeles Chargers in playoff run. I think of them as like a high A tier type of team. I mean, they have the one loss to the Cowboys, of course. But other than that, I mean, they look great. They won a close game against the Cleveland Browns, 47-42. Justin Herbert had 5 touchdowns. Mike Williams had 2. But yeah, this is a team that looks better on the offense than they do on defense, and they're still a great football team, and I think they can go pretty far this year. And let's go ahead and go to the Dallas Cowboys, the team that beat the Chargers. I'm gonna throw them right ahead of them. They're probably like the best team in this tier, I'd say. I have high hopes for the Cowboys. I mean, they have the one loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game that Tom Brady went off opening night. But since then, I mean, Zeke's been clicking. Dak's been playing efficient football. They've been really getting the run game going. Defense has been playing lights out. Trevon Diggs with an interception in every single game. I think the Cowboys have something special this year, and they can definitely contend in the NFC. Next, we're going to go with the Saints. We're going to throw them in this playoff hopeful tier. They're such a weird team. One week they looked horrendous on offense. Defense is pretty solid for the Saints, I'd say. I think they have a pretty solid defense. But the offense is just so wishy-washy. Jameis Winston. I mean, it's just Jameis Winston football out there in New Orleans. He's not slinging it as much as he did in Tampa Bay, but you know, they're trying to turn him into a more efficient quarterback, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're gonna actually move the Atlanta Falcons up from this tier into this tier. We might have had them in this tier last time. I actually don't remember. They got a couple wins, man. They won some football games. They beat the Jets in the UK. That weird game, Kyle Pitts went off. Had himself a day. Matt Ryan had a day. Mike Davis had a touchdown. Atlanta, I mean, they beat the Jets, you know. But it's another win for them. Not moving up in this tier list will be the Houston Texans. They're going to be sitting like right here, I got to say. They had a close game against the New England Patriots. They had some missed kick woes in that game. But this isn't the same Texans team that won a football game week 1 with Tyrod Taylor commanding that offense. Maybe Davis Mills just progresses at a crazy rate this season and ends up being a great quarterback and they start winning football games. But I just don't see much hope for this team. I didn't coming into the year, to be quite honest. No Deshaun Watson. I mean, that's just such a killer to this team. So Houston going to be down in this tier list. Down bad. You know, we're going to stay in the almost there tier. We're going to throw the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had a win this week. The Denver Broncos. It was a 8-point game, 27-19. Close game. They ended up coming away with the dub. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster for the rest of the season, though. But they got a win. Their defense looked pretty good against Denver. You know, not that Denver's offense is like some high-powered offense to be afraid of. Up, we're just going to go with the high tier real quick, just to get a high tier up there. We're going to go with the Buffalo Bills. It should be a shock to no one that they're up in this tier. I mean, they just look incredible, just blowing out every team they've been playing since week 1. Now, of course, week 1, they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a very close game that they were winning the majority of. But since then, I mean, they've corrected things. They've been playing great football. They just blew out the Chiefs this week, 38-20. Also in the top tier. No, I'm just kidding. We'll throw the Raiders in this tier, probably like right ahead of the Steelers. They're not playing really good right now. One of the 3 teams that went from 3-0 to 3-2. It would be them, the Broncos, and then the Panthers, who I'd all throw in the same tier probably. Now I'm almost a bit conflicted. I feel like the Panthers might be the better team out of the 2 right here. I don't know, man. The Broncos defense is great. I mean, obviously the Panthers defense is probably better, but they blew that lead to the Eagles this week. It was just a weird game. The Eagles came back and won. It was close the whole time. The Panthers, of course, lost to the Cowboys last week. No shame in that. The Broncos had a close game this week, but they did lose to the Steelers. I don't know. You know, I think I do know. I think we're going to do that right there. How's that look? I think it's fine. You go with the Seahawks. You go with the Seattle Seahawks right there. I think there's a little gap right there. Now the Seahawks, they're going this low, and it's hard for me as a Seahawks fan. It's hard to put them this low, but they just lost their starting quarterback. I mean, they just lost their most valuable player, Russell Wilson. Geno Smith looked pretty good coming into the game against the Rams. So there's hope in Seattle. Who knows? Maybe Geno Smith has a great season. I would love to see it. I really would. So Seahawks going in almost their tier for now. Throw the Eagles probably right here. They ended up defeating the Carolina Panthers. Oh man, see, I don't know, man. I don't know about this one. I think we'll do this. I'm so sorry, Denver. I'm so sorry. You started great, but the Eagles... No, you know what? We'll keep it right there. We'll keep it right there. I still think the Panthers are ahead of the Eagles, especially once they get Christian McCaffrey back. This is fine right here. So we're gonna go ahead and throw the Chicago Bears probably right here behind the Seahawks. They've won 2 games in a row. Justin Fields at starting quarterback is winning them football games. But yeah, we'll throw the Bears right there. And actually, I think we're about to do something right here. I think, yeah. Sorry. I am so sorry, Washington football team. I think you got to go in bottoms here because we got to fill it out. Next up, we're going to go ahead and throw the Minnesota Vikings in the playoff hopeful tier. I've actually been very high on this team this season, and I always give them the benefit of the doubt. They had the close game with Arizona. They're starting to rack up some wins now, and I think this team is just trending upwards, especially if Dalvin Cook can get healthy. I just think that they look pretty good on offense, and their defense is doing just fine to keep them in these games. And, I mean, they're right there. So I'll go ahead and throw them in this tier for now. I might move them down. I might leave them right there. I do think the Vikings have a chance to get like a wild card slot in the playoffs. I do. Just saying. I do want to say, I know I've been saving a lot of like the higher tiers. I just want to save some of the better teams for the end of the video. But we'll go ahead and throw a top tier up there. We'll throw the number 1 team on my power rankings and in my tier list, the Arizona Cardinals, the 5-0 Arizona Cardinals, that is. I think they got to be number 1 right now. And right behind them, I think we're going to go with the Rams. We're going to go with the Rams at number 3. And I actually think Buffalo's number 2. I'm looking at it. So yeah, I think this is the top 3 teams right here. Next up, making their way up the tier list quite a bit. And playing in a very, very competitive game against the Green Bay Packers, in which they could have won if it wasn't for some kicking issues. Then again, the Packers could have won if it wasn't for kicking issues, I guess. They lose in overtime in a very hard-fought game. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to be at the top of this tier. And it's crazy. They've worked their way from down here in the slums to up here, you know, almost there. And now here they are. I mean, it's incredible. And this is coming off of a loss. I'm moving them up this high. I just think I was underrating this team. I genuinely think that they're up here this good. The team that defeated them, the Green Bay Packers, we'll throw them in the top tier. I think the Packers are a top tier team. Whenever they're clicking on offense, they're incredible. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked great. Devontae Adams had over 200 yards receiving and a touchdown. A.J. Dillon is starting to get going. The Green Bay Packers are playing great football. They're in top tier. In probably around 10 to 13, probably number 12, is the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to be in the playoff hopeful tier right below the Bengals. Of course, they lost this week to the Arizona Cardinals. Trey Lance in his first start at quarterback against a great Cardinals team. They made it close. San Francisco's still a good football team. Their defense looked pretty good this week. Next, we will go with an A-tier team, the Cleveland Browns. We're going to throw them below the Chargers, probably, an A-tier. The Browns lost. Oh, I guess, you know, obviously they should be below the Chargers. They just lost to the Chargers this week. I don't know what I'm talking about. Losing my mind. But they lost a close game. You know, they ultimately looked pretty good in that game. Airing the football out, getting their running backs involved. The defense really, for the first time this season, laid an egg against a great Chargers team. But yeah, they're still an A-tier team in my opinion. Just very well-rounded, the Cleveland Browns. And then below the Browns, I think we're going to throw the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are still A-tier. Now, how can I justify that? I guess I have to justify it as they're still the Kansas City Chiefs, you know? Of course, they lost to the Buffalo Bills, who I have this as the number 2 team in the league. Well, they'll be at the bottom of the A tier. I do think that they're better than the teams in the tier below. But, I mean, they're really struggling this year on defense. Their defense is just so bad. Of course, they have the weapons on offense, even though CEH went out of the game with an injury. Travis Kelce had a little stinger. Didn't, you know, that could be a lingering thing through the season. Tyreek Hill went out with an injury. And then next up, we are going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, probably number 4. Of course, they lost to the Rams, who lost to the Cardinals. I think this is the top tier. I think these are the top 5 teams in the NFL. In about 15 minutes, actually, Monday Night Football starts, and I'm going to rank the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens after Monday Night Football transition. Right, it is me from the future, and Monday Night Football just concluded. What a phenomenal football game. Baltimore Ravens defeat the Indianapolis Colts in overtime. Lamar Jackson throws a touchdown pass to Hollywood Brown to win the game. And basically, this was a tale of 2 halves. I mean, the Colts came out. Jonathan Taylor had a 70-plus yard reception for a touchdown. Carson Wentz had over 400 passing yards. Michael Pittman mossed a dude. And ultimately, the Colts had a great lead. They had a 16-point lead. And then the Ravens woke up. And they absolutely dominated the rest of this game. They looked unstoppable. It looked like no team in the league could stop them the way they were finishing out that football game. It was truly incredible. Lamar Jackson might be my favorite right now to win MVP. No shame to the Colts either. It was I wouldn't say a good loss, but they showed a lot of good things in that game. They just couldn't close it out. Blankenship was injured. He missed some kicks. Really, they drove down the field at the end of the 4th quarter, got to, I believe, a 47-yard field goal attempt to run out the game, and Blankenship missed it. He also missed an extra point, I believe. It was a wild game. It was a great football game. I guess we're going to throw the Colts. I guess we'll throw the Colts. Oh, this is so tough. You know what? I think I'm going to move some things around. Not too much. I think we're going to do that. I think it just evens it out a little bit more. And then you know what? The Colts are 1-4, so I can't put them too high, right? But I do think that they could be at the top of this tier. They show potential. They show promise. They had the toughest schedule in the NFL through about week 6, and then it becomes the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. So I think the Colts could have better days ahead of them, and Jonathan Taylor's playing great now. I think they're figuring it out. They had a close game, but ultimately the Ravens win. The Ravens are 4-1. Lamar Jackson looking like an MVP again. Oh man, do I do it? This is so tough. You know what? I think we're gonna do this. Oh man. I'm sorry to all you cheeseheads out there. I'm sorry, Packers fans. You're the 6th best team. I mean, it's okay, in my opinion. You all, of course, think y'all are the best team, and that's totally okay. Y'all might be, but the Ravens got to be ahead, man. I mean, they win these close games, but they win them, and they look unstoppable in moments of these games. So I think this is the tier list for this week. Completed. It's all done. You can see the Jags down here alone as the absolute worst team in the NFL. They actually play in London next week. It's the Miami Dolphins. They might be able to win that game. We're pulling for you, Jags. We're pulling for you to get one win. But until then, I will see you all later. I appreciate you watching. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and yeah, it'd be much appreciated. Until next time, deuces.